everybody. Hello. Welcome. My name's Rosie. Nice to see you all again. Today we're going to do some fun decorations. I'm really excited about this one. It should be really, really easy, but really fun. So today I thought what would be really nice is to it's a very tenuous link, but stick with me. I thought we could do some kind of adult Halloween decorations. So most Halloween decorations are obviously geared towards kids, and that's fine because we love Halloween. But one of the things I'm obsessed with, and if any of you have watched any of my other sessions, then you'll know I'm a little bit obsessed with Frida Kahlo, the Mexican artist, and therefore just obsessed with all sort of Mexican art, Mexican folk art, Mexican culture. I think it's fabulous. I love how bright it is. I love how I love this is the reason we're doing this today. I love their relationship with death and the whole Day of the Dead celebrations I'm really into. So I thought this would be a nice way of honouring that through these decorations. So I'm going to show you this to begin with. So this is a decoration that I own. And this is a kind of Mexican metal art, basically. And what they use is old like tin cans. And this is what I love about Mexican folk art is it's usually kind of recycled materials. It's very much like find what you can. We're not spending loads of money on anything. So that's why I thought this would be good today. So what they often do is they will open out a tin can and they use they punch holes, like hammer holes into the metal to create this beautiful effect. So this has been mounted on a piece of wood and then you can hang this up, and I just love this style of art. So the first thing that happened is that I thought I could copy that, and I made my partner open up a tin can for me, and then I immediately cut myself by accident. So I thought, let's not do the tin cans because that's obviously quite scary. So I had a little look, and it turns out you can basically do the same thing with tin foil, which is much less scary, much easier, and super cheap. So we're basically going to recreate this and make some decorations out of tin foil. So I've got a couple here to show you. So this is the one that I've made that's like a fully formed piece, which has got a piece of string on which we can hang up. And I just think it's stunning. And then I've got this one here, which I've not yet put on into a decoration, but this one I've coloured in. Now, I can't remember, but I don't know if in my brief, which is what you guys see before you join onto this session, whether I put colouring pens in the list, because this is something that I found when I was making my examples, sort of after I'd sent off my brief. So if you haven't got colouring pens, don't worry. I will talk you through it. I just sort of I had a lot of goes at this in between me sending off my brief and found out more stuff about it, which is really exciting. So I'll talk you through it. They're really fun, and we're going to stick with this sort of Mexican Day of the Dead theme. And I'm going to show you how to draw some pictures, but also how to make them into the foil art. And I just thought, even if I know they don't look like super Halloweeny, right? They're not like, I mean, this guy is. We've got our little Frida skeleton, which we're going to do in a minute. But like the sort of sacred hearts and the hands aren't super Halloweeny. But I figured if you'd maybe put it with a skeleton, you could maybe make a row of bunting with it. I reckon that hung up in your window on Halloween is definitely going to fit, it's going to fit the night, I think. And if not, if anything else, you've made some beautiful decorations that you can use for anything, anytime. So what I've done here with these guys, I have drawn these on my iPad and then printed them out. The reason I've done that is because it means that you can see them on my camera because they're nice and black and dark and contrasted, so you can see them. Because what we would usually do is just draw them out with pencil like this one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one out on a piece of paper to show you how you might copy that. But I just wanted to let you guys know that if this bit seemed a little bit scary because you're drawing something quite intricate, then there's absolutely nothing stopping you printing out an image on your computer, just on your normal printer, computer, whatever, and you could just draw from there. If you were to, for example, print something out from your computer and then traced it onto a piece of paper with pencil or a black pen, then that would still work. You don't have to be fantastic at drawing because you can just copy another image if you want. And in fact, if any of you are particularly interested in these guys, I'd be quite happy to email them over to the Virtual Village Hall, and they can send them out if you so wish. So let me know if you want any of these, because I have them, they exist. But to begin with, I'm going to show you the easiest one, I think, which is the sort of, I think they're called Sacred Hearts or Flaming Hearts. They're quite easy to draw, so we'll draw one of those to begin with. And then I think we'll make the skeleton into a decoration because it seems right. So all you're going to need is a piece of paper, just any, I would say sort of normal printing paper is fine. You want it to be quite thin because later on we're going to be tracing this onto foil, so you want it to sort of sink in. So we'll start with a normal piece of white paper. You could use tracing paper if you wanted. Yeah, thin paper, any kind of thin paper. Now I'm going to draw mine with a black Sharpie so that you guys can see it. If I do it in pencil, I'm not sure my camera will pick it up as well. So I want this to be nice and bold so that you can see. But you don't have to do it in pen. You can do it in pencil so that if you go wrong, you can rub it out and start again. This is the bit, if any of you guys have done any of my other sessions, you'll know that I like to make things step by step so that all of the scary bit is at the beginning, so that when it comes to the actual bit that looks good, it's not so scary anymore. So this is the bit where we do our drawing and then we don't have to worry about the rest. The rest is easy. So the main thing I would say about the sort of Sacred Hearts is that they're quite symmetrical. So if you are worried about symmetry, then what you can do is you could fold your piece of paper and just draw half of it. So you could draw half a heart and then do all your details around the edge, and then you can sort of copy it on the other side. However, I'm not going to do that because I want you guys to see me draw it. So I can show you some of the elements that you'll tend to find in a lot of Mexican folk art and a lot of these kind of style pictures. It's all the sort of little dots and circular bits and leaves and stuff like that. So I'm going to start by drawing a heart now. I'm going to turn it at a slight angle because if I move any further along, then I'm going to start headbutting my camera and we'll just be wobbly the whole time. So I'm going to start by drawing a big heart. And you kind of want these bits, I don't know what you would call them, the round bits of the heart, you want them to be quite fat, if that makes sense. You want them to be quite wide. It's really easy to draw a heart in loads of different ways. So you can make a really thin heart and you can make a really fat heart. You want it to be quite fat and circular because then you'll get lots of lovely details around the edge. And now this is the hard bit because you want to try and make sure it's symmetrical. Now this will be much easier if you do it with pencil because then if you go wrong, it doesn't matter, but I'd say that's pretty good. Oh, it's like I'm a pro. Now there's a few different ways you can do this. So for this one, for example, they put leaves over the top, but often they'll have flames coming out of them. So I'll probably do some flames and some leaves because why not? So at this point, what we usually do with the heart is we would do an extra heart around the edge. And you'll see here, it almost creates a border, which you could then put some details in. I think the key to this is the details, because the more lines that you put into the foil, the more sort of contrast you're going to get and the more intricate the decoration is going to look. So that's why there's loads of different lines and dots and stuff like that. So that's what we're sort of working with. So I think what I might do is copy this little flower here because I like the flower. So I'm going to pop a flower in here like so. And then I'm going to do my border. So I'm going to try and keep it the same amount all the way around the edge. Now, apologies if my hand's shaking today. I've just done some like HIIT exercising. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, but now I feel really shaky. So if I don't do these pictures very well, I'm blaming exercise. Okay, so now we've done the border around the edge. Now the other thing as well about this is it doesn't need to be super neat. It just needs to be symmetrical, I guess, if it's a symmetrical image. And it just needs to be bold and it just needs to have detail. You can see here, like I've got a bit of a scraggly bit here. don't worry about that, because we're going to trace over this. We're going to trace over this with a pen onto the foil. So your lines need to be neat when we get to the foil stage. So now we've gone around that with the border. What should we do next? Well, we can just do some dots in the middle here. So dots are really good, and the dots kind of mimic the lovely sort of punched holes that you get in the metal versions like this. So you can see all these dots here, and it just creates this lovely kind of embossed image, which is what we're doing, what we're recreating today. So I'm going to put a load of dots around here. They could be little circles if you wanted as well. They don't have to be dots. So I think like this one, they're little circles. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around with the dots. Nearly there. Fantastic. So now I might do some flames. I think we'll do the flames next. So the flames, I tend to do 4 flames. So I'll do like 1 wiggly line. I've not done this heart very low down. That's silly of me. Never mind. And then another one that might be a bit higher up. And then a shorter one. And then one last one here. So they make your flames. And then you might do some lines along the flames. Again, it's all about the little details. Okay, that'll do. Now I really love these sort of bits at the bottom, so I might do a few of those, but just at the bottom, because I'd like to put some leaves along the edge here. Now some of them, if you Google sacred hearts, I'm pretty sure they're called sacred hearts, you'll get some that are like this, you'll get some with the flames, and you also get some that have wings either side. They're beautiful. So that they would be a really good one to do on the foil as well. Right, so I think what we'll do next is we'll do a nice big round bit here, and then we'll perhaps do 2 more either side, and then they can have circles in them like so. And then we might do some leaves. So now what I might do, so these leaves here, they've done like 1 leaf at a time, but I think I'm going to do almost like a wreath going around the edge, which is what I've done with this one. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to do that sort of leaf, I think. So I think I'm going to go out quite a lot with a line, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the leaves in. Now, one of the things to think about when we're doing these images is that the edge is going to be cut out, right? So it can be intricate, but you don't want it to be too intricate. So for example, cutting the tops of these flames out was quite tricky. So we'll do it together, but it's like all these little bits here, you've got to remember you're going to have to cut them out. Now, to make this easier, I have noticed on some that I've seen, they'll sort of put a border around it, which I can perhaps show you on this heart, because we're going to do the foil skeleton, I think. Okay, and then 1 more leaf here. Lovely. And then what you do is you go ahead and do all your details. So you do these aren't showing up quite so well because I'm using a thick Sharpie, and I would usually be using a pencil to do this bit. So these lines look quite messy, but that's just because of the thickness of the pen. When you go over this on the foil, it won't be quite so thick, because it does look looks like there's a lot going on. So finish those leaves off there. So I'm doing 1 line through the middle of the leaf, and then I'm doing 3 little chevrons. I think they're called chevrons, aren't they? Yeah, we'll go with chevrons. That word just came out of my brain, and I forgot I knew the word for chevron. Quite proud of myself there. That's a big word for a Tuesday morning, chevron. Okay. So there's your leaves done on that side, but like I say, it looks quite messy, but it won't be. It won't be. So then I'm going to try and mimic the other side. I came out quite a bit on the circular bit of the heart so that you can fit the leaves. You want generally speaking, you want the leaves to get a little bit bigger as they go up, I think, but no worries if not. And they can be any shape leaves. They don't have to be pointy. They could be rounded at the top. And you do definitely want some detail in the middle of them, but you don't have to do as much detail if you don't want. You could just do the lines. Right, I think that's pretty symmetrical, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm not going to do the lines on this just because we don't need to. You don't need to see me do them again. But that is kind of it, really. You don't need any more detail. That's going to make a beautiful decoration. If you wanted to, you could add another border. You could perhaps add more to the flames. You could do some more flowers. You can do whatever you want. As I was saying before about cutting this out, what you can do with the foil, because the foil and the metal, it's all about the contrast in the bits that have been pushed up and the bits that are flat. So actually, you could still, if you felt a bit iffy about cutting these leaves out, you could just go around like this. You want like quite a thin edge knit close to the image. You don't want it to be too far away. And you could just literally draw around it. And then that's what you could cut out if you so wished. That would make it slightly easier and it wouldn't take anything away from the effect of the piece, I don't think. Because if you look at like, let me get my little hand. So like, for example, these hands here, you can see the edge where I've cut it out, because you don't want to cut on the line, because the line is what makes the art, right? So you need to leave a little gap when you're cutting it. So actually, if you do create a slightly bigger gap, then that's part of it almost. So that's one way to get around cutting out the difficult shapes, because cutting out foil is surprisingly tricky, I suppose, because it's metal, but I will show you that shortly. Okay, so now that I've drawn this guy, I've shown you how to draw a heart. I'm going to move away from the heart and we're going to start thinking about how we're going to put it onto foil, but we're going to use our lovely Frida skeleton. I love her and she is beautiful. So we're going to use this one here. And what I'm going to do is, so as I said, I've drawn this on my iPad and then printed it out. You could do the same with any old printout. You could find an image on Pinterest or something like that. And I'm just going to cut it out a bit more, just so that it's a bit closer to the edges. But you don't have to be careful about cutting this out, because we're not going to use this picture. We're just going to use it to trace onto the foil. I mean, you could use it afterwards if you wanted. This would be a really fun activity to do with kids as well. The only thing is, it's being delicate with the foil. I did try to do a skeleton with my 5-year-old, and the second she accidentally got a hole in the foil, she threw her dummy out of the pram and refused to do it ever again. So it's just one of those where you have to be very delicate with the foil. So, but what you could do is you could go, well, I'm going to do the foil, and when I'm finished with the foil, then you can colour the picture in, and then we'll have 2 pieces, right? That would be fun. Or you could try the foil one with your kids, and they might not kick off like mine did. They might just enjoy it. So I've got my skeleton here, and then the next thing that you need is a piece of cardboard. So I'm not going to use this piece because this had my hand on it. So we're going to use that later. So I have used one of these guys, you know, the Amazon parcels that come, and it's kind of like a little box. You want it to be thin cardboard, otherwise it's really hard to cut out. But you also don't want it to be too corrugated. So you will notice on these are really good examples because most people have seen these Amazon boxes before. So these thin ones, you've got this side where all the stickers go, and then the inside of the box, you can see the lines of the cardboard. So can you see all these lines running down here? Now, this type of cardboard is perfect because it's the right sort of thickness. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. You can cut it out really easily. However, the most important part about using this cardboard is not putting it on this corrugated side. If you put your foil on this side, which I did to begin with, what happens is when you draw your picture, it goes because you're going over all the grooves, and then it makes the picture really wobbly, and that is not fun at all. So if you're using a thin cardboard, you can use a thicker cardboard if you feel a bit funny about getting the wrong side. But if you use a thicker cardboard, we're going to use the cardboard to back our decoration, and it's really hard to cut out with scissors. If you're handy with a craft knife, then you could use a thicker cardboard and then use your craft knife to cut the image out on the cardboard. But these guys, you can use scissors, no problem. So you just need to remember that in most cases, with a thinner cardboard box, it's the outer side which isn't wobbly. Usually, just check. But you can see, like in this one, if you hold it to the light, it's quite flat. And then if you hold this one to the light, you can see lines in it. I think you can see, yeah, you can see that. And then you want the flattest bit, really. So you just want to cut a piece out that is about the same size, but you do need it to be slightly bigger because you want to wrap foil around it. So I might use this bit here. I think that's what I'm going to go for. Nice flat bit, there's no bends in it. That way you're not having to fill your recycling bin full of cardboard because you've used it for something beautiful. Throw that bit over there. I've tried to take the stickers off as best I can. It's not worked properly. However, it doesn't matter too much. It's not going to make much difference to your image because the foil is doing most of the work. So I'm just going to cut it down to size because I don't want too much cardboard. Let's have a look. I'm just going to decide whether I should do it this way. I think this way is going to be better. So I will do a bit more cutting. So cut this bit off. Now you want nice straight lines here because this will make it easier for the foil to spread over it. Nice and flat. There you go, that'll do. And it doesn't need to be like, I don't mean it needs to be super straight like with a ruler because we're going to cut it out anyway, but just enough to wrap your foil around. Now you're going to get your foil. So this is the fun bit. So with the foil, you want it to be as flat as possible. So you need to be super careful with this bit. I think that working with 2 layers of foil is better than 1 because you're less likely to go through it because foil is quite fragile, really. So what I tend to do is pull out a nice big bit. So you can see how big that is. It's basically kind of like a newspaper sheet, I guess. Rip it as gently as you possibly can. And then depending on which shape your picture is, you kind of want to double it over. So I'm going to double it over this way, I think. You're going to fold it, but you've got to try and keep it as flat as you can the whole time, which is quite difficult when you've got shaky hands. Okay, right, there we go. So that's quite nice. This is nice and flat. Yeah, you definitely could make Christmas decorations out of these. That's a really good idea. Yeah, there's loads of, because I mean, there's loads of like really simple images that you could do with Christmas. And also when I show you how to colour them in, that would also be fun. This is the joy of this. You could literally do anything, really. If you can print it out, you can do it on foil. No problem. So yeah, Christmas one would be good. I might copy that idea. I might also do some Christmassy ones. So what I'm going to do now, I've got my foil and I'm going to wrap it around my cardboard so that it's nice and flat. And you want to fold it as neatly as you possibly can because you want the foil to stay as slick and as beautiful as possible, so that the flatter it is, the less crease that it is, the more that your design is going to show up. There we go, that works quite nicely. I think if I've paused there, has my camera gone a bit funny? There we go. So that's okay, that's fine, that's not too creased. And if you don't leave, like if it wraps around a lot, then you can leave it like that. If it only wraps around a little bit, then just use a tiny bit of tape to stick it down just so it doesn't go anywhere. Oh, I see. This of the foil, that's a very good point. Shiny side is best. So yes, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about what side foil to use. Well done for thinking about that. Yeah, to be fair, it actually doesn't matter what side foil you use. I think that's a creative choice that you can make. I didn't even think about it. I just went in on shiny side of foil, so shiny side showing, because I just assumed that's what you would use. But now you've mentioned it, Joyce, that's a really good point. I'm not sure, because this one, so the one that the actual metal one, this guy here, that's quite a dull metal because they've used the inside of a tin can, which is quite matte in finish. So I don't know the answer. I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to go with shiny side, but if you want to use the dull side of the foil, then I mean, show me what it looks like. I could give another one a go with a dull side and let you know, but it's not going to change the process at all, because the foil is going to do the same thing. It's not going to make any difference on how you do it. It will just look less shiny when it's finished. And if you colour it in as well, then also that doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter what side you use. But thank you for asking. That's a really good point. Okay, so now that I have wrapped my foil around my cardboard, this is the really delicate bit, right? So this is the bit where you have to be very careful. So we've got our image, we're going to use our Frida skeleton, and we're going to hold it on. Now, the problem with this bit is, ideally, in an ideal world, we'd be able to stick a bit of tape onto this foil and it would stay held down. But because it's foil, and because of the nature of this this session, if we were to stick tape down, it would either A, rip the foil when you try to take it off, or B, completely alter your image once you've drawn it in. So the hardest bit, and this is the hardest bit, I promise, the hardest bit about this whole thing is that when we draw our image, we have to keep our image held down in place with our hands at all times, and we can't move it at all, because if we move it, then it will go wrong. So that's the only tricky bit about this session. So just remember that when you put your image down, make sure it's right in the center, and once you go in with your pen, that's it. No moving, no shifting at all. So I've opted for a silver gel pen with this. Sorry, no, pencil. Oh, silly me, I've skipped a step. Pencil, sorry. So I'm going to go in with a pencil, and I'm going to trace over every single detail of this as neatly as possible. The only important thing is not letting this shift around, because if you do go a little bit wrong, what you're going to find is when we take the paper away, the image is going to look a little bit jaggedy. But that's what the silver gel pen is for, or any gel pen, because this is what we're going to go around again to neaten it up. So don't worry too much about the actual lines themselves. The only thing you need to worry about is getting that whole design penciled in without moving the image. Ooh, a small magnet. I don't know. It scares me. This is the only thing that scares me about this, is that foil is very delicate and it rips quite easily. I suspect it's because my 5-year-old kicked off about it, and now I'm worried about getting holes in foil. But yeah, there must be some way of being able to attach this image without ripping the foil. I just haven't figured it out yet. I was too busy enjoying colouring in the hearts and stuff. But yeah, if you got the joy of this, right, is that all that would happen if you went wrong, if you were to stick this down and then you ripped it, taking it off, is you've just wasted a small piece of foil. That's why I love this this session, is because all that is required of you is a roll of kitchen foil, and if you scrunch it up in a small enough ball, it can be recycled. So there's no pressure really. If you do go wrong and rip it, we just start again. And you're not going to do anything with this image either. We're not going to ruin this. You can use this as many times as you like. So it's a really kind of no pressure situation, I hope. So I'm going to start tracing over this now. So as I said before, you want to hold it down. What I would recommend is starting from the top so that you can hold the whole image. Now, hopefully my camera's going to pick this up, but if it doesn't very well, because I'm having to sort of hold it down and my hand's in the way, then just so you know, I'm going round each line and I'm pressing quite hard, because we want every single detail to show up on the foil. So as hard as you can with the pencil, and making sure you're not moving the piece of paper. So now I'm concentrating, I'm spending less time talking. So I'm just doing these leafy bits. I'll go as quick as I possibly can for you guys, because I want to show you the next bit's more exciting. I mean, I could have picked a less detailed picture, couldn't I? But I was so excited about doing the skeleton. Honestly. We could have just done a nice simple heart with a few leaves around it, but here we are doing a Frida skeleton. But still, I think it's going to look great. So you can see I'm pressing quite hard with both hands, like I'm pressing really hard with my left hand, which I'm writing with. I'm holding this paper down for dear life with this right hand, because I really want to not move. I want it to not move at all. You can see my concentrating face. I'm trying so hard to do this nice and quickly. But this is the joy of this, again, because there's no real pressure here. You're tracing over something. You're not having to think about drawing it perfectly because you've already got the drawing. That's what I love about this. The fun bit is in a minute when we take the paper away and we get to fill this in again with our pen. That's the exciting bit, because you can really see the image. Wow, this has got so many leaves, hasn't it? My goodness, what was I thinking? Okay, right, now we can move on to the head. I'm having to give myself a achy hand from holding down so hard. Okay, around here. Now, I think what I'm going to do is her hair, I'll put some lines on it. I'm wondering if I might wait till afterwards to do those, just to save a bit of time. And also, if you do miss any lines, you will notice when it comes up and you can just add them in, because you'll be able to sort of copy the picture. Love all these lovely little bits here around the eyes. I love candy skulls. I think they're beautiful. You'll find a lot of, if you search for candy skulls, metal candy skulls, you'll get loads of different designs. So you can find loads of different ways of doing this. It doesn't have to be like a lady skull with lovely flowers in her hair. There'll be sort of like the male versions with funny moustaches and stuff like that. There are a million different candy skulls. I'm not going to put the dots in either, because again, I can do that afterwards. And now my forearms are really aching because I'm really pressing hard. So you can obviously take your time with this. You don't have to do this. This is like pressure cooker for me because of the time constraints, right? So I want to get this done for you so we can get everything done. You don't have to do it so quickly, and you don't have to do it so quickly that your arm hurts. Obviously, you can really take your time. So make sure I get this side. So these are the lovely earrings. At this point, I don't even know if it's still on there, so I don't know if this is a good recommendation, but there was a documentary on the BBC iPlayer about Frida Kahlo. It was called Becoming Frida, and it was a 3-part documentary about her life. I recommend all of you watch it if you can, because goodness me, she was an amazing woman, and her work was incredible. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting to the teeth, so we're not far off. And because it's that time of year, it's also totally acceptable to watch the film Coco with your families and friends, because it's a beautiful film, and that film is good inspiration for this sort of art as well, because it's all about the Day of the Dead celebrations. If you haven't seen that, it's got loads of skeletons in it. It's all skeletons mainly. Okay, we're nearly there. Just doing this lovely flower at the bottom. Another good thing if you don't want to get your own design and you want to sort of find some on the internet, tattoo designs are quite good as well. You'll notice I'm quite well versed in tattoos. Tattoo designs are good because they work in a similar way. They need to be really nice, strong, thick lines, but with good detail. So if you're looking for a particular image, something particular, like for example candy skull, if you were to type in candy skull tattoo, always go with traditional tattoo, because traditional tattoos have thick lines. So traditional tattoo designs work well for this sort of thing. Just plugging traditional tattoos because I love them. Okay, so I think I've done everything. I'm just going to give my wrists a stretch, but now we can reveal the picture and hopefully it will look fantastic, but we're going to make it look even more fantastic. So take the paper away. Oh yeah, that's worked beautifully. So the image has worked really, really well. Nothing wrong with that at all. The only problem is that you'll see it's kind of slightly jaggedy. And that's just because the drag of the pencil and because we're tracing from paper into the foil. So this is where the gel pen comes in. So I've got myself a silver gel pen. It doesn't have to be silver, it's just that some gel pens will show up. If you're happy with that, then go for it. You can use whatever colour you like. You could use a black one so it really shows up. Or alternatively, you could use like a gel pen that's run out, because all you really need it for is the smoothness of the nib. It's the kind of glidiness of the nib that you want. So a gel pen that doesn't work is also fine. If you've used, I've thought about other pens, tried other pens. Biros could work, but I don't think they leave a nice enough mark. And all of the sort of pens, marker pens and felt tip pens aren't hard enough to put the line in, and you'll find other pens will just drag and put a hole in the foil. So a gel pen is best, and I'm going to go with a silver one because it doesn't show up, and I don't want the silver. I don't want the line to show up. I'm going to colour it in. But if you want it to show up, then that's fine. I've tried it with black and that works quite nicely. So basically now all we're going to do is we're going to go around the whole design again. Now you do need to be quite delicate with this in terms of like you touching it, but this is the great thing about this is once we've gone around our design, can you see I'm just smoothing out all the lines? I'm just wondering if I can show you this a bit closer up on the camera. I might give it a go. I might go wrong, but we'll see. Let's see if there's a nice easy bit I can do. Maybe this circle here. So can you see it's just smoothing out those sort of jaggedy edges, and it's just giving you that bit better contrast. I can't tell if you're there. Yeah, that's working. I was just concentrating then, and I thought, I don't even know if the camera's picking this up. But can you see the difference in this? Oh, I didn't go round this eye. Never mind. Can you see the difference with the line here to the line here? It's much more contrasted. It's much smoother. So that's why we're going to go over it again. Yeah. So she forgot to go round that one with the curvy bits. Never mind. So we're going to just go all the way around. Don't forget, you can see that now the skeleton's upside down. That's because it doesn't matter which way around you do it. You've just got to get all the lines done. And you don't want to bash it around too much. You can get your, you can lean on it, but you don't want to lean on it too much. But what's really exciting is the next bit after this. So I'm going to go around this as quickly as I can, because this is the really fun bit. And this is quite I think this is like a super therapeutic art form, actually. It feels really nice to sort of go around the foil like this and smooth it all out. And it's like like it's a dopamine hit, because it's like, oh, you get the results immediately. You can see the results happening right in front of you as you sort of go around everything, which feels really nice. And I mean, to be honest with you, once you've gone round everything, you could stop there. You don't have to, if you're happy with your design, you don't really need to do anything else if you don't want to. It's just the next bit, if I can work out how this flower works. Some bits are quite fiddly because you need to sort of hold it in the right light. And I'd probably be holding this up right to my face. So I don't want to hold it up right to my face, because then you wouldn't be able to see it. You'd just see a bit of cardboard over my nose. But yes, like I said before, you can really take your time on this. You can really enjoy this process. I'm just sort of like bashing this out as quick as I can so that you guys can see the results. But this bit is really fun. I really like this bit. And so this is why you don't need to worry too much about how well you're drawing it on the piece of paper, as long as it's all being held in place. That's all that really matters. So let's see if we can do these teeth nicely. Very good. So now hopefully you can see why before, when I was talking about drawing your design, those little details really make a difference. Because if we'd have just drawn a skull with the eyes and the nose and that was it, then this just wouldn't look quite so impressive. It's all these little leaves, the lines in the leaves, the dots. That's what makes these, I think. Where are we going next? I'll do these leaves. And you'll find your limitations as well, because what will happen is if you press too hard and drag, it will make a hole in the foil. Now, don't worry too much, because that's one of the reasons we've used 2 pieces of foil folded up, because it makes it less hard to put a hole in. But also, if you do put a hole in it, it's much harder to notice, so it doesn't really matter. But you'll kind of, as you're doing it, you'll know straight away the feeling and knowing that it's sort of the right amount of pressure. This is all working quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over these flowers really quickly, and then we'll move on to the next bit. I mean, we're not far off, to be fair. It's super easy. Okay. So close. I'm not going to do, oh, those leaves don't have lines in. Let's add those in there. So I've not gone over absolutely everything, but you get it, don't you? You can see what's happening. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this flower off. We're getting there. Just go around these leaves a little bit. Now, as I said before about the cutting out bit, what you could do at this point is you could draw your border around the edge to make it easier to cut out. So you just give yourself a tiny gap in between it, and then go all the way around, and then that's what you cut out. You don't have to do that if you feel confident at cutting. This is the fun bit. So this is why when I said if you need to tape your foil down, don't do it like with a massive piece, because we're going to take this off now. So we're going to unwrap our foil, and you will see that the design is also on the other side. So we're going to flatten our foil as much as we can. Now this is a really fun bit. I think I said in the sort of brief that you can use like a wooden lollipop stick, which is what I've seen other people using. However, I actually have decided that that is not true, and that just the other end of your gel pen works just as well. So you just need a gel pen, because what we're going to now do is we're going to create extra contrast by pushing out the bits that are flat with our pen. So on the side that we've drawn, as we've drawn it in, it's sort of sent the foil inwards, right? So when we turn it over, we're sort of pushing out the bits that were flat with the end of our pen. And what it does is it just sort of pops out the bits that haven't been drawn on, and it just creates a little bit more contrast. So you're just going to go around all the sort of edges, but the inside bits with your pen, like these bits, for example, with the end of your pen, just to make them pop a bit. And it really makes a difference. I saw some videos of people doing this, and I thought, what was the point of it? I don't know why they're doing this. And then I did it myself, and it really does help. And it also is really fun to do. So you're just sort of literally sort of almost scratching the flat bits with your pen. And you want to try and get the really intricate bits as well, the teeny tiny bits. But you do it really carefully, just with the edge. And it's almost like you're popping them back out. And you just go round. And the great thing about all of this whole process, as soon as you've drawn it on with your pencil over your image, all of this that I've done since then, you can do as many times as you want. You can go over it with your pen again, you can turn it over and go around with these again until you're happy with your design. So you can do this once, or you can do it 6 times. It doesn't matter, because it's not going to change. All you're doing is sort of like ever so slightly bettering it, I guess, or just making it so that you're happy with it. And you can add details as well. There's nothing stopping you. So let me just do these teggies down here. Just sort of almost popping them out. And then hopefully, I mean, you might not be able to say it's sort of minimal difference, but I think it's worth it. Hopefully when I turn it over, you'll be able to tell that it's popped out a bit more. So can you see it's just ever so slightly more kind of like poppy or sticky outy. Embossed is probably a better word. But the embossed effect definitely is more obvious when you do the end of the pen thing on the other side. But at this point, for example, you could pop it back on your cardboard. You can add some extra details if you wanted to do the dots around here or add some lines in here. You could do that, no problem. I'm going to stop there so that I can show you the last little bit, which is really easy and self-explanatory, but I will show you anyway. So you've got, oh, we're going to colour it in, right? We'll do some colouring in. I'll do some colouring in very quickly. So at this point, you can cut it out and stick it on your cardboard, and that's fine. But if you want to colour it in, you can. Now, the only thing with colouring in is that I've tried and tested, and I'm afraid you can't use anything that isn't permanent. So don't use normal felt tips, because as soon as you put it on, it just, you know, when it just goes all bobbly and you can't actually colour it in because it's not waterproof. It is waterproof, sorry, like foil is waterproof, so it just doesn't work. But Sharpies do work. So if you've got a pack of Sharpies or you know anyone that does, these guys work really well. So the only thing with doing the Sharpies is that all that stuff we did with the end of the pen will kind of remove that ever so slightly. So you might just want to go back over and push all the things back out, or you could push the bits back out right at the end. But either way, it looks great. So all you would do is choose your colours. I'm just going to do a little bit. I don't want to do too much. And now you have to be very gentle with it because you don't want, is this one working? Oh, that one doesn't work. That's why. Let's try this red. Yeah, you don't want to mess all the lovely hard work that you've done. So you just want to go in with the edge. Don't like go in and use it like a crayon. You want to use the edge of your pen and just very lightly go over the area that you want. Now, in Mexican folk art, they use lots of bright colours together, lots of primary colours, pinks and purples. So this is what I love about this, is you can just do all the colours. So if I show you here, and also the other thing is you don't have to be super neat with it, because the nature of it is that it looks great, kind of, even if it's like a little bit messy or like not fully coloured in. Ah, I love it. She's wonderful. So what I'm just going to do a couple more bits just so you can see the contrast of colours. So I'm going to do this bit blue. And you can see, like, I'm really not pressing very hard. I'm lightly going over it, just over the edge. You just want to, I would recommend not even going to the edge. You're just going slightly to the edge, because I don't want to go into the line that you've created. You could also probably paint these. That would probably be easier. I'm just not sure what paint you would use that would stick. I'll maybe look into that for you. What else shall we have? Maybe a green. So I'll just do do these eyebrows, and then we can cut it out. So you can colour all of it in or just a little bit of it. So as I said, from colouring it in, you've kind of popped them back in a little bit. So what you do is just wait for it to dry. Make sure it's dry to the touch. Turn it back over, and then you just do the same thing again, where you use the end of your pen to just pop those bits out again. Just make sure they're popping. There you go. I think that looks great. I'm quite pleased with that. So now all that we do is we get our piece of cardboard that we've drawn on, and I'd start by doing a rough cutout around the edge. You've got to be really gentle because you don't want to mess up all the lovely hard work you've done. So I'm just kind of trying to hold it on the edge without touching the picture, and go round roughly so that I can go around delicately around the edges and there's not all this foil flapping about. So that's that. Okay, and then we can put that to one side. That is small enough to go in recycling. Beautiful. And then you want to ever so carefully. Now, I'm not going to do this super carefully because of time, but what I'm going to do is just vaguely cut around it so that it's neat and looks good enough to, you know, hang up, I guess. Sorry, am I even doing that in? Can you even see what I'm doing? I got so into that I wasn't even watching the camera. Okay, and you just want to hold it with your other hand as gently as possible so that you're not messing up your lovely design. I mean, it's pretty robust, but you'll know as soon as you pick it up, you'll know like the kind of limitations of you holding it. Okay. Now, the only thing is, so you've done 2 layers of foil. I think 2 layers works better than 1. So they're not stuck together, but they should stay together fairly easily because of all the designs you've done around it. But you can ever so slightly stick it down a little bit. First of all, hang on, let's move all this rubbish out of the way. Yeah. Okay. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can try and look on your bit of cardboard and you will see the design through that's gone through with the pencil, and you could try and draw around it. So I'll do that to begin with. But the other thing that you can do is very carefully hold your design onto the cardboard and draw around that. But it's just that when you cut it out, you want to cut it out ever so slightly smaller so that the cardboard doesn't show through on the edge. So I'm going to try it by looking. So you sort of hold it up to the light. I'm going to do it with a pen so that you guys can see. And I'm just going to I'm not doing this. It doesn't have to be neat because it doesn't want to be the same size as the design. It needs to be slightly smaller. So it's quite a wiggly line. I'm having to sort of hold it to the light so I can see the grooves. There we go, that'll do. Perfect. So I've drawn that with a pen so you guys can see it. And then what I will do is I'm going to cut it out, but I'm going to go past the line because it doesn't matter if it's smaller. If it's smaller, then we're not going to see the cardboard behind it. And this bit is why I said at the beginning, use a thin cardboard. If it's any thicker than this, you'd be struggling to cut it with scissors. But like I say, if you use a craft knife often enough, you can use whatever cardboard you like. Just be careful with the grooves. You don't want to do the corrugated bit or you get a very, very wobbly image. Okay. Nearly there. Okay. Now, usually with decorations is I'd sort of punch a hole through it and put the string through that way. But I don't want to punch a hole through the foil and then, completely ruin all the lovely work that we've done. So I'm going to do it this way instead. Let me show you. So hopefully, if I put my design on top of this cardboard, you're not going to see any cardboard through it. No problem. That overlaps it perfectly. So then what I'm going to do is, so this I think is quite fiddly as well, but you're using it as a decoration and it's a handmade decoration, you know, like let's not be under any illusions that this can be thrown around, because if it's thrown around it will break. So, you know, don't let anybody touch it unless you feel safe that they're not going to throw it. Where is my paintbrush? Here it is. So I've just put a bit of glue around the edge and then I'm going to paint it on the edges. I think are the main bits. You want the edges to stick. But you don't want loads of blobs really. You just want a nice thin layer of glue, because we're not going to sort of press it on. We're going to just sort of place it on because I don't want to ruin the design. Okay, I think that will do. I think that's fine. So you've got a nice layer of glue, which hopefully you can see. And then we're very, very carefully going to pick up our beautiful skull and place it over the top. Just make sure there's no cardboard showing. And then I'm just going to really gently sort of press some bits into place. I'm sort of encouraging it to stick to the cardboard without knocking everything over, but also without like sort of changing the design. You don't want to press it because you've kind of done all that work pulling it upwards. But that should be fine. And if you are to leave it, there's definitely going to be bits that are going to dry. So then the last thing you're going to do is get yourself some string so that you can make it into a decoration. So I've got this lovely fluorescent string. This was from, okay, so funny story, this is from B&Q. I think they use it in like landscaping and stuff. And they do a bright pink one and they do a bright yellow one. And I only bought the bright pink one. I think it was about £3. So I sent my partner to go and get some more. I was like, can you get me some pink and yellow? And he went in, he couldn't find it anywhere. He walked around the whole of B&Q to look for it. And then he went to ask a member of staff and he just looked at him like it didn't exist. Like the string had never, ever existed and that this wasn't from B&Q, but it was from B&Q. So it was from B&Q. But I don't know, maybe it's a mystery. Anyway, so what I've done is I've tied this into a knot here, and then you've got a little bit here, and I'm going to stick this bit to the back of the cardboard. I've got some of this brown parcel tape. It's the kind of papery stuff, and I'm just going to get a couple of bits here, and I'm going to try not to press too hard. In fact, you could sort of hold it up to make sure you're not pressing too hard. Again, this is going to be a fragile decoration. It's not one for playing with. But once it's finished, you've got your beautiful Frida skeleton that can be hung up. And we've got the hearts. And we've got the lovely hands too. And I think they make wonderful alternative Halloween decorations, or any decorations for any occasion. There we go, we've done it. Oh, I'm really pleased with that. She looks great. Look at that, beautiful. And that'll shine. I mean, you could hang these up above your, not too close, but you could hang them up above your pumpkins. And they might shine in the candlelight. Oh, beautiful. Right, that's it. I've done. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys did too. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a go. And let me know if you need anything. And I'll be back soon with more crafts, more exciting crafts using easy stuff. And will I see you before? No, I won't see you until after Halloween. So have a great Halloween. Have a lovely, spooky, hopefully Mexican themed Halloween. Enjoy it. And I'll speak to you soon. I've been Rosie. Goodbye.